Good evening, everybody. Welcome to It's All Black and White TV, and this is Newcastle United versus AC Milan match preview, and I'm joined by Roly tonight. How are you, Roly?
Feeling positively Champions League.
Thought you would say that. Okay, so before we get into tonight's show, if you do like what you see, please do smash that like. It does help the channel up the search, and it means new viewers can find the channel more easily. So please do give it a like. That'd be great. Also, if you are brand new to this channel, then come and smash the subscribe. Come and be part of this great community we have here. It is free to do so. And by hitting that bell notification, that tells you when I'm live. I have a pre-record of any upcoming shows as well. So currently only 46 subscribers away now from hitting 1100. If you want to become a member, it is 99p a month. Just do that by clicking the join button. And if you want to make a donation, you can do that in the chat by clicking on the $sign using the super thanks option as well. All money does get reinvested back into the channel. Okay, so I'm just going to go into some comments first of all, and then we'll get on with the show. Holly says, hi Tony and Roly, we'll bounce back from our lads. We'll be sore for this game. My score prediction is 2-1 against Milan or 1-0 Newcastle. Yeah, absolutely, Holly. I'll take any result. BS says, evening Tony and Uncle Roly, and hope you're both wearing your lederhosen tonight. Good evening all, says BT. Good evening to you, mate. Hope you're well. And Julie says, good evening all. Good evening to you, Julie. Hope you're well too. Gary says, we're going through a tough time, Bia. Got to feel sorry for the boys to give their all. Yeah. Just seeing AC Milan didn't treat the pitch due to the rain. One quick huddle and back in. All right. Interesting, that, innit? Just want to give a shout out to Tony Ross, who has gifted 10 TV memberships. So 10 memberships have been gifted by Tony Ross. So thank you very much indeed for that, Tony. Much appreciated. And so whoever gets a membership, it will be, it's done on a basis from YouTube. So welcome to all new members. And you can all thank Tony for that one as well. So thank you very much again. Bunch of girls' blouses, says Julie. Absolutely. Julie saying thank you. Gary says, can't say I blame them. I think they've got an easy win tomorrow. Well, let's hope not. Tony says, evening, Tony and Roly. Good evening, mate. Thank you very much indeed again. Ronald says, I read Tony, Roly in chat. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Hi, Tony. Hi, Roly and Julie. How are we all? Absolutely fine, mate. Well, ish, but we'll get into that in a minute. I'm wearing a retro Bayern Munich away shirt, says Julie. Yeah, let's hope. Well, let's hope Kane bangs a hat-trick in tonight and, the red half of Manchester can then go off and, because as we know, Man U are a club in decline. They are a club that is so, let's just say, there's no togetherness in that club now. We have now found out that another player has now been the victim of falling out with Eric Ten Hag, and that is Marcus Rashford. So, it's continuing the trend. He's dumped Sancho. Now he's fell out with Rashford. Things are going from bad to worse for that club. They're on the decline, and I'll tell you now, they will struggle to finish in the top half of the season if Ten Hag keeps falling out with players the way he does. But long may it continue, because I don't care what happens to Man United. They could get relegated for all I care, and I would absolutely love that to see Old Trafford 76,000-seater stadium in the Championship next season, because how many of them would bother getting off their arses from London to travel to Manchester on a rainy Saturday afternoon to watch them play Scunthorpe or whoever, or Rotherham? So, yes, I don't care how their club is in decline. I'm absolutely loving it. David says, evening, Tony Roly. Hope Mickey has his shooting boots on tomorrow. No passing back to their keeper, please. Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so, mate. On the screen here, Gary, just switch tabs. It would be fantastic if we get through the knockout phases of the Champions League because it will recover 7 million or 8 million to do that. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. It's all about money at the end of the day, and it brings in extra revenue. So, yeah, absolutely. Evening, Tony Roly in chat. Good evening to you, Ian. Hope you're well. And Tony Ross says, player power has gone wrong. Well, yeah, absolutely. But, that's their club in decline. We don't care how Man United are. We don't care about them, And, I'd just like to see them just. The only reason I'm mentioning it is it's just so great to see them keep going into decline, And it's just absolutely fantastic. Gary says, "Don't talk about Man U. I feel so sorry for them. I might shed a tear." Poor lambs. No, I wouldn't shed a tear. Do you know what I would do? I would raise a glass if they got relegated. I would have a bloody party. Well, let's have a relegation party if they go down. That would be absolutely fantastic. And to rub salt into the wounds, obviously, I've seen a lot of their fan base are saying they want Mason Greenwood back at that club. Because he is having let's be honest, he's having a terrific time out there at Getafe, and he's in line for goal of the season as well, apparently. So, so things continue to go bad for Man United, don't they? Mighty Max says, evening, Tony, Roly and everyone. Are we going to win tomorrow? Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Right, look, obviously I haven't seen you since last week, Roly. I mean, obviously we lost to Everton 3-0. Not a great result. As I say, I thought Dubravka was to blame for the third goal because he should have done better at his near post. Very poor indeed from Dubravka. Then on Sunday, well, we thought, okay, I was happy with the team, but I wasn't because I was wanting to see a few changes. And look, we played the same players. Again, we saw another mistake from Trippier. That's twice in a row now in 2 games that he's made a mistake. And it's not like Trippier to make those errors, by the way. But when you've got a 33-year-old and you're asking him to play every 3 or 4 days, fatigue's going to catch up with you. And a 33-year-old, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a super athlete. It's going to catch up on you regardless, But obviously, and Lascelles was to blame for one of the goals as well. He should have got his foot in there and he didn't bother. Dubravka looked really poor on Sunday. If I'm honest with you, I was not happy with Dubravka one bit. I was like, Jesus, get this guy out of goal. He's useless. I mean, look.
Apparently, Dubravka's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah, we've heard that now. But still, I don't think... I look at Dubravka and I'm not being funny. He's been a great servant to the club. And I've got to agree with Paul from Toon Review, by the way, on this as well, because I'm in the same camp as him. Look, Dubravka's been a great servant to this football club. He really has. Look, he's been through the bad times with us. I remember that debut when he had a hell of a game, that debut. He played a blinder against Man United, and he was absolutely brilliant. I look at him now, and I don't think he's the same keeper now. Yes, we know he hasn't had a lot of football because obviously Pope's been number 1, which is rightly so. But, I look at this and I'm afraid to say I think Dubravka is now past it at Premier League level. He's been found, and look, Sunday, even if he has a sore shoulder, he's got nothing wrong with his feet. But what I don't understand is why he went in on Son with his feet. He should not have. If he goes in down with his hands out and tries to get the ball, it's not a penalty. But the fact that he went in with his feet gave the referee no option but to point to that penalty spot, and rightly so, because it was a poor decision from Dubravka and we were punished. So look, I think he's been a great servant to the club. But I think we really do need to find another keeper and replace him because I'm in the same camp as, like I say, Paul at Toon Review. He's not the keeper he used to be now. And, maybe you move him on and, he goes back off to maybe Czech Republic or wherever, or Slovakia, and plays our football there. or maybe he has to drop down to the Championship if he wants to stay in England. But yeah, I'm afraid to say, that's the way I look at it anyway. But other than that, that game against Spurs, it was a poor day at the office yet again. And I know we saw stupid comments at the end of the game, like people on social media, some people saying, "Oh, has Eddie took us as far as we can?" No, Eddie hasn't took us as far as he can. Just we've had a horrendous run of injuries, and it's not Eddie Howe's fault that the injuries are there. But I'll tell you what it is, and if anybody wants to have a go at me, then you're welcome to, because I don't think, and you've got to be careful, because some people out there think you shouldn't have a criticism against the team whatsoever. But I'm sorry, after Sunday, you can have a criticise at the team, because you can point fingers at Eddie Howe. You could say to Eddie Howe, why are you playing the same team? Why couldn't you put other players in there? Why couldn't Trippier have come out and had a rest for that game? Why couldn't Livramento have been dropped for that game and had a rest? Why couldn't you play Lewis Hall? You could have played Emil Kraft at right back. You could have given players a rest ahead of Wednesday. The substitutions as well from Eddie are baffling, because he took so long to bring substitutes on. Again, we saw Lewis Hall come on. We thought, oh, great, okay. Maybe it removes the myth that, we're just trying to see him out of his contract and then send him back to Chelsea. But look, Eddie is a great manager. Let's be honest. For what he's done to Newcastle United has been absolutely fantastic. From where we were when he came in to where we are now, getting in the Champions League. We're one step away from progressing to the next round of the Champions League. Shall we beat Milan, and should PSG fail to beat Borussia Dortmund, who lost at home for the first time at the weekend? Look, that's the only reason I'm giving Eddie a little bit of criticism, is because of the substitutions and the fact that he possibly could have played a different team against Spurs. I'm not saying throw loads of youngsters in there, but at least give some of that first team a rest, because we're going to ask them to go again tomorrow. And then the same team's probably going to go again Saturday as well against Fulham. And remember, Fulham are in hot form because they've scored 10 goals in 2 games. So, look, I'm not here to bash Eddie Howe on Newcastle, but I think when things need to be said, and when performances aren't great, then I think people aren't immune to criticism. And it's not criticism as much, it's more constructive criticism. And from what I see, from what everybody else sees, there was a lot of people out there saying, come on, Eddie, substitutions. And we were all getting frustrated by that on Sunday as well. What's the best way to go around this? Get out there tomorrow and win that game tomorrow night. And, knock AC Milan out altogether, out of Europe, because they won't qualify for anything. Knock them out of Europe and get back to winning ways. Yes, we've been horrendously stretched with injuries. It was great to see Longstaff back. It was great to see Wilson back. Although I nearly thought Wilson was going to go off injured again because of Romero, who should have been sent off. And then PGMOL have got a cheek to apologise to Newcastle and say, sorry, that decision was wrong. He should have been off. Well, we know he should have been off because it was a bloody dangerous tackle. That's why. He could have done something. He could have done damage to Wilson. And that would have just been the icing on the cake, wouldn't it? But, thankfully Wilson come through that. Longstaff came back. It's great to see. Dan Burn back by the weekend. Back in the squad anyway, which is, ahead of schedule, which is fantastic news. Willock's penciled in, according to the Shields Gazette, to come back against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. So if that's what it is, that's fantastic news, because we'll start getting these players back. But we do need to strengthen in that January window. Before I get Roly's take, I'm just going to go into some comments here. One thing we do know, Trippier gets a rest on Saturday because he got that yellow card, didn't he? So, as I say, because he got that yellow card, it puts him out of the game on Saturday against Fulham. So I expect Trippier plays tomorrow night anyway. Tony, if the game finishes a score draw, do we still go through? Because we scored 4 more than Milan. Yeah.
The head-to-head's the same, so it goes to goal difference as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they do it. Toon says Magda Bates. Dubravka playing with a sore shoulder. Now, and this is another thing. If Dubravka had a shoulder injury, why the hell's Eddie Howe playing him then? You know, where's Karius? Why can't he play? You know, if you've got a player who's got a sore shoulder, we've had 2 players out with shoulder injuries. This is something that you don't do, and Eddie Howe's playing him with a bad shoulder, so it's not great, is it? Really? But you know, we'll see what happens anyway. We'll talk about Karius a bit later on in the show, because Julie says he should play tomorrow. The defence was shaky with Dubravka in the sticks. Yeah, I believe. I believe with Dubravka, yeah, the defence is probably a bit shaky because they're used to having Pope behind them, because I know Pope can come out like a sweeper keeper and they've got that security behind them. But Dubravka's not that type of keeper. So that's why. Foxy says if Karius starts, it gives Milan a lot of hope they'll shoot on sight. But again, Foxy, the Karius thing, I'm going to come back to Karius anyway, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on Karius a bit later on in the show. So keep that in mind. Karius will play tomorrow. Lee says, hope to see some fresh players for tomorrow. Give Karius a game. Yeah. Ask me that tomorrow around 10 p.m, says Gary. Karius worries beer. Not necessarily. Karius got more top-level experience than Dubravka. Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Hi, Tony, Roly and Chatter, says Matt. Good evening to you, Matt. Hope you're well, or good morning where you are. Why does Howe fancy Dubravka over Karius, though? Probably because Dubravka's been there longer and, you know, he's probably got more trust, maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask Eddie that one. Julie says, although he hasn't played for a long time, he's been training, absolutely. Hit the like, says Lee. Thank you very much indeed, mate. I did put that on TTR as well. The Lewis Hall thing puzzles me. Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum, wasn't it? I thought it was because Eddie Howe didn't really want to invoke anything. And, like, say, for instance, you know, like a lot of contracts have, like, a player's got to play a certain amount of games or minutes. And if they go past that threshold, it then activates the deal, like the Chris Wood thing, when Forrest played him for 3 games consecutively, and that invoked it so that they had to pay for Chris Wood in the summer. So, you know, I was sort of thinking, does Eddie Howe have a bit of trust issues with, or is he not happy with what he's seen in Lewis Hall and thinking, I don't want to activate anything, and I just want him to go back to Chelsea, you know?
Apparently, what Eddie's been saying is that it's not that Lewis Hall's done anything wrong or he's fallen out with him. It's that Cripps has been one of our main attacking threats, creating chances. He's got created as many chances as anybody else in the league. And Livramento's played so well at left back, it's hard to drop either of them. So he's got to wait until he gets an opportunity. We'll get that on Saturday if Trips is suspended, unless they play Dan Burn at left back.
Bia's got a point. Everton was a chance to rotate using Kraft, Hall and Dummett. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I want to go back.
But the minute that when Trippier, see, I was shouting at the TV because when Trippier made the first error, Eddie Howe should have hauled him off, should have got him off after the first error. Right, okay, we can see he's tired. Get Trippier off, get Lewis Hall on, put Tino to right back, put Lewis Hall to left back, and Everton probably don't score the 3 goals. But no, we keep Trippier on and he makes another error. And because he's fatigued, that's why, because he's tired. He's 33-year-old and you asked him to play so many games. So, look, this is what I'm saying. this is where Eddie didn't use his subs right, and he should have. He should have took Trippier off after the first mistake and realised, hang on, he looks tired. I better get him off. That's a tired. Because if you look at the mistake he made, the first one, it was tiredness more than anything. And I'm really surprised Eddie kept him on, if I'm honest.
I didn't see the Everton game, to be honest. But one of my problems with the Everton game is not the score, not that we lost, is why did we have to have a round of games midweek in November? It's not like we've got no games in December like last year. There's no need to have that round of games. Because you look at the not just us, West Ham are in the same boat, Liverpool in the same boat, playing, and we're going to be playing 10 games in 30 days. And that's ridiculous. I mean, it's a punishment for being successful. There was no need to have these extra round of games that particular week. Have them in January or February or March. There's no need to have it in November, to have so many games in November.
It's the Amazon Prime deal. That's the problem. Foxy says,
I know they have a round of games, but why November?
Yeah.
It's just because, and they know the number. I mean, when they make the fixtures, they see how many games they've got, and they can see how many there are in November compared to the other months. It just made no. I mean, just looking at the fatigue of players, it made no sense playing that round of games.
Mm-hmm.
But they, in their wisdom, they decided to play it.
Yeah. Foxy goes on to say Dubravka wasn't great, but the first 3 goals was poor defending. Yes, it was. And he did make 7 saves. Yeah. But yeah, he hasn't been great, to be honest. He's not covered himself in glory. Eddie has been the best manager for years. We wouldn't be where we are. I'm not having a go at Eddie Howe. I'm just pointing a little bit of criticism, Lee. What I'm saying is we could have done with using the subs a bit better than we have been.
I'd just like to make one point about Dubravka, if I may, Tony. I think though he's not necessarily covered himself in glory, some players take a little bit of time to get to the speed of the game when they come back in after not playing for ages. I think is there a little bit of bias on your side? Because I know you didn't want him back at the club when he left for Man United. Is that colouring your opinion a little?
No, I just look at him and I think I've watched him for 2 games now, Roly, and he doesn't look like the Dubravka of old. Look, I had Macy on the channel last year, and she was so pleased to see the back of Dubravka from Man United back to Newcastle, because she didn't rate him. She thought he was a terrible goalkeeper. And I look at him and I'm thinking, do you know what, Macy? Because I sort of said to Macy, I don't agree, Macy, because I think he's a great keeper. But I look at him now and I think, maybe is he not up to the job now? And that's the thing. And, he's 34, Dubravka. I know that's young for a goalkeeper. And I mean, look, Tony Ross makes the point. He says, look, there's better goalkeepers than Dubravka sitting on benches at other clubs. And he's absolutely right. You've got Ramsdale at Arsenal sitting on the bench. You can't get in for Raya. Even if Raya makes an error, he still keeps his place ahead of, it's true, West Ham's got Fabianski on the bench because Ariola's playing at the moment. And Fabianski on his day is a fantastic keeper, So I can see what Tony Ross is saying. Liverpool's got Kelleher on the bench. He's not a bad keeper.
I've not really seen him to make a.
And he can. Let's just say he can take a beam penalty because the guy used to be a midfielder, so he knows how to score goals. That's why when they played Chelsea in that Carabao Cup final and Liverpool won it, Jurgen Klopp had no problems when Kelleher stepped up to take the penalty because he knew he'd score, because he'd been a midfielder before he turned into a goalkeeper. So let's just run through some comments anyway. David says, do we sign David De Gea on a free in January? What do you think, boys? Do you know what it is, David? I would say yes. absolutely 100%. Look, if the guy, look, he could have gone to Saudi clubs. He didn't go. He has, and Saudi clubs were offering money. He could have gone to Saudi clubs. He could have gone to the clubs in Spain, but he didn't want to sign for them. I think David De Gea wants to be back in the Premier League, if I'm honest. And on his day, David De Gea is one hell of a goalkeeper. Let's be honest. You don't go out and win the Golden Glove last season without being a great keeper. And he kept 18 clean sheets last season. And I'll tell you now, he pulled off some tremendous saves last season. Even against us, he pulled off saves. Look, I think on his day he's a cracking goalkeeper, David De Gea. I really do. Is he an upgrade on Dubravka? Absolutely, 100% he is. You know, and look, if you pay £6 or £7 million in wages to him between now and the end of the season, that's like getting a player on loan for the season without the wages. Because when you get a player on loan for a season or a half a season, you're sometimes paying about a £5 million loan fee. Then you're paying wages on top of that. So if you're getting to here and see you pay him, say for argument's sake, £6 million in wages, you're not paying out a transfer fee for him. And look, I would take David De Gea at the drop of a hat. I would take him over Ramsdale, in fact. So look, if Arsenal want to sell Ramsdale to us, I think they won't, because they won't want to sell to us. They won't want to even loan him to us. But David De Gea, I think, will be a great signing. I think Man United, I think, in all honesty, did the wrong thing getting rid of him in the summer. I really do. They brought Onana in for £55 million. Yes, sometimes he pulls off the most impossible save, and you think, how the hell has he done that? But then 2 minutes later, he'll drop a right clanger, and it'll be in the back of the net, and you think, you're scratching your head thinking, well, hang on, you've just pulled off a worldly save, but now you've just dropped a huge clanger. So, yeah, I think Man United made a huge error when they got rid of De Gea. So, yeah, I would say yes. Would you say yes to De Gea, Roly?
Yeah, so he's a free agent, so it's the sort of thing, if we decided we wanted him, we could pick him up now. He's a great shot stopper. He's a really, really good goalkeeper. How much would he want in wages? Don't know. Said the only problem if he has high wage demands is how that affects the rest of the squad and the wage structure. That's the only thing that I can see against it, really.
I mean, Foxy says Dubravka has double the amount of experience in European competitions than Karius, also nearly 50 international caps. Yeah, he's got a lot more that way than Karius. But, the thing is, though, after Dubravka's just shipped 7 goals in 2 games, do you really want him playing in a big game like that tomorrow? I don't.
He's shipped 7 goals in 2 games, but how many of them were his fault?
Well, 3 of them against Spurs were definitely the defence's fault, because the Cells should have cut one out.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see the Everton game. Everyone said the 3rd goal was his fault. So that's two out of 7 were his fault. It's not. You make it sound worse than it was, because it's not great in making mistakes, but all keepers make mistakes. Even Pope makes mistakes. But a lot of the time, keepers look down on because they ship so many goals when it's not their fault. You look at was it Fotheringham, the Sheffield United goalkeeper. When we played him at their place, he shipped 8 goals. None of them were his fault. The man of the match performance. So it's a bit hard to just be down on him because he's shipped 7 goals when most of them weren't his fault.
Yeah, I mean, Bielsa said he used.
Sometimes defense is a bit more shaky because they're not used to him behind them anymore. That can lead to him losing losing a bit of confidence. He's not played
Yeah,
for
I
a long
mean,
time.
yeah,
It's just some people take a lot of time to get going. Hopefully, he needed those 2 matches to bring out the best of him, and he'll have a blinder tomorrow if he's needed.
I mean, BR Viking says, look, he would have used Alex Murphy and give Sher rest against Everton. I agree with that because, look, in the pre-season, Alex Murphy looked cracking when he came on. He looked absolutely brilliant when he played. Um, and yes, we can argue it's pre-season when people are not at their freshest. But what's wrong with throwing that young lad in and give him a go? You know?
I think the thing is he Premier? I mean, Eddie is the one that sees him in training. Does he think he's Premier League ready? If not, he's not going to play him.
Well, do you tell me how many youngsters are Premier League ready and then just get thrown in? Because, look, we know Alex Ferguson did it with a whole load of kids and just threw them in. And look, you know, they grew up to be men rather quickly. But this is what I'm saying. You don't
It's
know
a
until you give these players a chance. This is what I'm saying, Roly.
yeah.
We
I
need to.
know what you're saying, Tony, but all I'm saying is that we see glimpses of them when they played in pre-season or little cameos that they played, and they look great. But Eddie sees them in training every day, and he'll know whether they're Premier League ready. These are kids that play under 21s, under 23s. They're not playing Premier League. It's very different. I mean, Lewis Miley's exception because that guy is so talented. But these are guys that have been brought in for the future, not for the now. So they've not been playing because he obviously doesn't think they're ready to play in the Premier League.
I mean,
And it's you can see the potential in them. And I agree, Alex Murphy looks like he's going to be a cracking player, but is he going to be able to do that for 90 minutes at Premier League level the way that we play? Eddie obviously doesn't think so. If he did, he'd play him.
um, Andrew says, don't want to hear overrated X-Man clumsy as Dubravka. And then he says, the only way I'd take him was on the 6 months because he's free. That's what I'm saying, Andrew. We'll take him for 6 months, you know, just help us through. Because, look, now we see that Dubravka's got a dodgy shoulder and if he can't play tomorrow and play Carrius, we've got to put a youngster on the bench because Gillespie's not registered in the Champions League squad. So we have to put in a youngster on the bench. Probably Harris will have to sit on the bench tomorrow. This is what I'm saying. This is why when people are saying, oh, yeah, we got plenty goalkeepers, we haven't. We haven't. Our goalkeeping department isn't as strong as it used to be. We used to have a great goalkeeping department at one time. Remember when we had Given, Harper, Krull, you know? Look, Krull was only a youngster. He was chucked into the squad by Glenn Roeder, and by God, did he take his chance, you know?
He had
So
no
this is what I'm
choice.
saying.
He had no
But
choice to put him in because we didn't have any other senior keepers.
this is what I'm saying, Roly. There's no such thing as, look, at the end of the day, he could have put Alex Smith. He could have just made Roly. He could have made changes. He could have
Yeah, he
easily.
could have made changes, but again, it's a case of whether he trusts them to be able to do what needs to be done at Premier League level. He obviously doesn't. They're still development projects, really. They're still development players. Yeah, it's a difficult. I mean, we're in a situation where that no other team is. You look at the teams that are doing well. You look at Liverpool; they've got about 1 or 2 injuries. Villa have hardly had any injuries. You look at Arsenal; they've hardly had any injuries. Man City have hardly had any injuries. I mean, Man United are complaining about the injuries they've got. They've had about, was it 6 or 7? It's about half as many as we had. I mean, we're in a unique situation. It's I've not heard of a team that with a squad of 25 has had 13 players unavailable for a game for multiple games. That's half your squad. So you then have to start playing players that they're in the first team squad to get experience of training with the first team and to develop. That's the whole point of the training with the first team squad, not to play. We've been forced into a situation where they've had to be on the bench. I mean,
Yeah.
against Chelsea, we had the luxury because we were so much in command that we were able to give 3 of the kids a little bit of time out there just to experience it. But they're not really ready
Mm-hmm.
for the Premier League, and that's why they've not been played. Uh, and the only one's been played is Lewis Miley, and you can see that he is up he's Premier League level. But you don't get many 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds that are. You do get some,
Yeah.
but the number that we need to use is just not sustainable in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can see where you come from, Roly, but at the same time, like I say, um, I can see where you come from, Roly, but
I
you're not
think we're
going to
going
know how these players will play if you don't play them. That's what I'm saying, Roly. You don't know
to,
until you play these.
but yeah. I mean, you don't. But it's a risk either way. It's a risk to play them because, especially if you're going to put in more than 1 or 2, it's a risk to play them. It's also a risk because of the number of games we're playing, the fatigue, not to play them. So it's almost like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Right.
I don't think any club's ever been in a situation where they've had so many senior players. I mean, you look at the team we could field with injured and suspended players. Pope in goal, Target and Manquillo fullbacks. It was um, Byrne and Botman as the centre half. In midfield, there's Willock, Anderson, Longstaff. Up front, Barnes, Wilson, and Murphy. That is a very strong. That's a really good starting 11.
Right. Foxy's got a question. When was the last time you thought Karius had a great game in a competitive match? How far are we going back? Look, Foxy, I know what you're saying about Karius, right? But the thing is, right? Let's be honest. What other options have we got in the squad to play tomorrow? Right. Now then, look, when he played at Liverpool, Karius had some great games for Liverpool, let's be honest. I remember that save he pulled off against us as well. I mean, look, he's had some great games in the Liverpool shirt. Let's be honest. He really did. And he looked to be one hell of a goalkeeper as well. I don't know how far you'd have to go back because I didn't really take notice of when he left Liverpool and when he was at Union Berlin and places like that. So I didn't really look into his stats. But if I go back to last season, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to come on to Karius in a moment. Hang on, I'll just go through these comments. Ronald says, Forster had to move through Krull and the Hexham lad is a good backup at Spurs. Yeah, absolutely. Karius didn't do too bad during the Carabao Cup final. Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Against Everton, we could have rested Trippier for Spurs. Played Livramento and Lewis Hall. You could see he was knackered after the match. Absolutely, David. Well said, mate. Well said. Right, okay, right. Before we go into any more on the preview and things like that, let's talk this guy, Loris Karius. Right. Now, look, we've seen him play in friendly games for us. When he played in Saudi Arabia, that first half he was fantastic. He pulled off some great saves in that first half. Done okay pre-season. Last season in the Carabao Cup final, he was wrote off before he even kicked the ball for Newcastle United. He had to play because Pope was suspended and Dubravka was cup tied. So we had no choice. It was him or Gillespie, and Karius got the nod. And before the game started in the warm-up, he made a howler. So the Daily Mail, or the Daily Express it was, sorry, decided, oh, let's knock this lad's confidence before he comes out to play in the game. So they put the headlines all over the internet. Karius has a howler in the warm-up, you know. Look, why does the media in this country have to be so fucking cruel at times? It really does piss me off, the media in this country. This is why they have to be, why do they have to be so cruel, you know? But look, yes, he conceded twice. The header, he couldn't do nothing about Casemiro's header. It was a great header from Casemiro. It had quality all over from the free kick to Casemiro. The header, he couldn't do nothing about it. The Rashford shot, he saves that if that doesn't hit Botman's foot. Carrier saves that all day long. Because if you watch him, he goes into position to save that shot. And it just takes an unfortunate reflection off Botman's foot and loops over Karius and makes it look like Karius has made a howler. And he didn't make a howler. He went down and he would have probably saved Rashford's shot had it not struck Botman. But in the second half of that match, he pulled off some great saves, I thought, especially the one against, Ferret Face, Bruno Fernandes. He pulled off a great save against Fernandes. And I thought he did okay in that game. He didn't look out of place. He looked okay. And the problem is, everybody's knocking this guy's confidence, all because of that Champions League final against Real Madrid when Gareth Bale scored. And everybody took the piss out of Karius and said, oh, look at this, what a crap keeper he really is. Until it came out a few days later when Jurgen Klopp turned around and said, well, actually, he had concussion in that whole game. So you think, well, why the hell was he playing? So, look, that one game in the final made him out to be the worst keeper in history. And as I say, when you find out the lad's actually playing with concussion, you can understand why his judgment isn't right. Because if you've got concussion, you're not focused properly. You're not going to be focused properly. It's like having concussion and going to work and not being able to concentrate on your job, and you make a huge mistake. So look, I think the lad's been dealt a bad hand from that. I think we've got to back him if he starts tomorrow against AC Milan. Do you know what I hope he does tomorrow, Roly? I hope he goes out there tomorrow, and I hope everybody who is sitting there now saying, I hope he doesn't start, I hope he doesn't start, I hope he goes out there tomorrow, and I hope he sticks his fingers up to every single person who has slated this guy over the years, and I hope he has a fucking blinder tomorrow. He pulls off save after save after save, keeps us in the game. We scrape that game 1-0. We win it 1-0. Karius as man of the match. Thank you very much. And I'll tell you now, there'll be a lot of people out there who'll say, whoa, hang on. Where's he been hiding for these past couple of years? So the thing is, I hope he goes out there tomorrow and has an absolute blinder. Stops AC Milan scoring. They can take as many shots as they want, but I tell you what, this guy, I hope he has a great game, and I hope he pulls off some great saves in this game, keeps us in the game, keeps a clean sheet, ram it back down the throats of people who keep saying Karius is no good. What's your thoughts, Roly?
Well, I hope he doesn't make save after save, but not because I want them to score. I just hope that he doesn't have anything to do, because we defend so well that the keeper is a spectator. That would be my ideal. But if he has stuff to do, I hope he does it well. Yeah, a lot of people remember the the Champions League final, because it's a massive game, and to make the mistakes he did, and I thought it was bad that Klopp didn't defend him by saying, well, he was concussed. Well, he shouldn't have been on the pitch. He was concussed. So that's down to Klopp. He did get. He's had a bad. He's not been able to live that down. Basically, his career went down the U-bend. But the cup final, he couldn't do anything about either of the goals. I think if Rashford's shot doesn't come off Botman, he's saved it because it's so close to him. The deflection just takes it out of his reach. He made a couple of really good saves after that. So, yeah, if the Bradford's not fit, you've got to go with Karius.
Absolutely. Because I wouldn't want to put a youngster in against AC Milan, no disrespect. Because you can see the likes of, if you put a youngster in against AC Milan, Giroud will have a field day because you'll rough him up.
Yeah.
You know, Giroud might be 36, but he knows he's clever at roughing players up, and he's clever. And if he sees a young goalkeeper, he's going to make him, nervous as hell. Like I say, Tony and Roly, he has one bad game in the Champions League, and the press wrote him off as a bad keeper. That's the thing. Dubravka got a Carabao Cup winners medal to show his grandben, says Ronald. Media have always been cruel. Look what they did to Gary. Jesus, BR. Gary says, I hope he plays and has now to do. Never mind the blinder. Well, yeah, we don't want him having anything to do, but if he has got anything to do, then at least, let's see what he can do. Foxy says, people remember the Carriers Champions League final mistake. I remember his mistake after what for Besiktas and Mainz, which is why they cut short the loan. He does well, though. He does well if he plays. Again, Foxy, it's a different team now, isn't it? Newcastle's a different team. Do you know what? He could come in and he could have an absolute blinder tomorrow and keep his place. And then, we could potentially, Carriers could come in and play well for us. Then we might think, oh, hang on, do we really need to look for a keeper in January? We might still bring somebody in as backup, but we might think, wow, Carriers is definitely the number 2 here. Plus, his girlfriend wants him to move to Italy. Now, he hasn't played a lot. Maybe this is Carriers' chance to put himself in the shop window as well to say, look, if I play well, I may get moved to Italy because, he might want to be close to his pregnant girlfriend. So, look, at the end of the day, regardless, we've just got to give him a chance. And as Tony Ross says, give the man a chance. Absolutely, 100%. I totally agree with that. Look, if he did want to put himself in the shop window, which you wouldn't blame him, then how do you do it? You go out there and you prove people wrong and you play well. Eddie says he's trained very, very well, and I don't doubt he has, I've put a poll in the chat anyway. Who would you start? Karius or Dubravka? And I'll have a look at this poll and see what the results are so far. So it was put up 11 minutes ago. Dubravka's got 27% and Karius has 73%. So the majority are saying Karius should be playing ahead of Dubravka. What's your thoughts, Roly, on that poll so far? And what Tony said, give the man a chance.
I think if Dubravka is fit, he plays. And I'd be fully behind that. But if he has got a shoulder problem, you'd want Karius to start. It's as simple as that. I think Dubravka has proven that he's a decent keeper. Right? He's had a couple of mistakes in the 2 games, but part of that could be down to ring rust, really, because he's not played for so long. You see players that are out from injury when they come back, even great players, sometimes it takes them a few games to get up to speed. And if you remember last season when Sean Longstaff was out, when he came back, it took him a couple of games. Even this season, it took him a couple of games to get up to speed. And then he's been really good till he got injured. So is Dubravka one of that type of player? It's in the personality of the player. And then obviously keepers are unsettled. If the defenders in front of them are unsettled, they tend to be unsettled when there's a new keeper behind them. So that could contribute. But as you said, he served us well.
Even if
overnight, he has to do better.
Even if Dubravka's fit, I say don't stop Dubravka tomorrow. You play Karius
over the week over Karius. I think it's a better keeper.
I wouldn't. No.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. But
look, and the thing is, we're saying now is, and look, obviously, when we do get to the summer eventually and we get to transfers, in the summer, you get rid of, you have a bit of a clear out. There's no more room for sentiment in this team now. So in the summer, Dummett, go. Richie, go. Lascelles, go. Now, Lascelles has played well, and yes, he made a mistake Sunday. But when you want a squad that wants to compete at the top end of the table, and I mean at the top table of football as well, top four, the likes of Lascelles, and this is no disrespect to Lascelles because I think he's been great since he stepped in for Botman. I really do think he's played well. But when you want centre halves in that position to be able to come in and take over, you want a more of elite centre half rather than a centre half who's possibly a mid-table centre half, right? And when all Lascelles has stepped up and played really well, and we're not going to knock him for that. He scored a couple of great goals for us. You know, the header against Chelsea. He tried again the one against Spurs when he hit his leg off the advertising boards. You know, I don't doubt his commitment's there, but we've got to start upgrading these players now, and that is the thing we need to. If we want to be at that next level and maintain that next level, you've got to upgrade on these players. So these are where you've got to put sentiment out to one side and say, right, okay, we now need. So you say in the summer, right? Okay, Jamal, thank you very much. You've been a cracking servant for this club. You know, but you know, we need to really upgrade on you, and you've been great for us. But thank you very much for all you've done. And, you know, you're welcome at the club anytime you want. But go and find yourself a new club. Same with Paul Dummett. You know, Paul Dummett, you've been a great servant. Thank you very much, Paul. Off your pop. Go and find a club and go and have a bit of game time, maybe somewhere in lower Premier League or Championship. Same with Richie. There you are, Richie. You're out of contract. If you want to go back to Bournemouth, there you go. There's your chance. Off your pop. Thank you very much. You've all been great servants, you know.
I think a lot of that will depend on Lascelles in particular, because he has performed really well when he's been called on. A lot of that would depend on where their priorities. I think fullback is going to be an area where they're going to get rid of players because we've got so many fullbacks. I think they're trying to get more balance in the squad. Where at the moment we've got basically 4 serviceable centre halves. So again, if we get rid of the fullbacks, maybe we can get a centre half or strengthen in other positions. But they'll have a plan, I think that they would have looked for a centre half in January if the South hasn't played so well. So with his performances, it gives them the opportunity to strengthen other players where we haven't got the strength and depth, and then if we can get an upgrade on Lascelles, get it, but it wouldn't necessarily be the top priority. But I agree with you, Dummett, Matt Ritchie, Manquillo, probably Kraft as well. They all need to be moved on.
Well, I was going to talk about Kraft. According to media sources, Newcastle want to shift Kraft on in January so they can get some money for him. They don't want to lose him on a free in the summer. They'd rather make some money in January. But they'll only sell him if they have a replacement.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that's what's coming out at the moment, apparently, that Newcastle want to move Kraft on in January, but they'd rather sell him in January than lose him on a free in the summer. So, you know, and he is a Swedish international at the end of the day, Emil Kraft.
Yeah, and we didn't pay for him as well. So.
Paid $5 million for him from Armians, wasn't it? So, Julie says he's a decent player. She says it would be a shame to lose him. And Bia says, but Ashby's Kraft's replacement. Yes, he is. We need another centre forward, says Lee.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, look, when we had no Isak and Wilson, it really showed. So, yes, we do need another centre forward. Now, again, it's been mentioned again, and it's actually in tonight's. It's actually on Chronicle Live as well. The Evening Chronicle in Newcastle are saying Sir How Garussi, well, looking at him again, 15 million quid clause. You know, the only thing is he won't be available in January. Well, you can buy him in January, but he won't be available to play as he'll be away with the African nations. But look, this lad is got. He's a goal machine. So again, it's somebody else you've got on the bench at strength and depth. Then, but you would hope that we'd keep two strikers at least fit throughout January. So when he does come back, if we do need him, he's there to call upon.
The other thing about him being at the African Nations Cup, Guinea aren't exactly the powerhouse of African football. So it might only be away for half of February. And I mean, when you look at it, if he's at the African Nation Cup and does make it to the final, it's like with Anthony Gordon, you sign him on the last day of the transfer window. It's pretty much the same sort of thing as that. It's like bringing someone on the last day of a window if he's got to play out there. But
Foxy says 100% Roly. Give Dubravka a chance in the Champions League experience over someone that's played a competitive game in 3 years. Keep Richie, keep Dummett. Valuable to have people like them around the club. Move them into coaching role or behind the scenes. Do you know what? Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Foxy. I've always said I think Matt Ritchie would end up as a coach at Newcastle, to be honest with you. But Dummett's only 31, isn't he? 32. So, maybe he's got a season or two. He could go maybe to Middlesbrough, somewhere like that, and play for them in the Championship.
I think it all depends on what he wants to do.
Mary Queen 8 says, evening all. Good evening, Mary. Hope you're well. David says, in the summer, Tony, Lascelles, Richie, Dummett, Manquillo, Gillespie, Dubravka, Kraft, thanks, but we're not playing relegation football now. And also, thanks for what you have done for the team. That's fair enough.
In the summer, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but obviously you've got to have the replacements. I know some of them, their contracts are up. So you've basically got the wages off the bill. I think that I wouldn't be surprised that if we got a decent offer in for Lascelles in this window and could get a replacement, they take it. Because the way he's playing now, you could get a reasonable fee for him. You're looking in
I think you could do, Roly, yeah.
In that 10 million bracket?
I reckon so.
Yeah, and that adds to the FFP for going forward. And if you can get a replacement in, I mean, that could cover the first year of a £50 million player. That 10 million you get in for him.
Alan says
that we've got, because Kraft might get 1 or 2 million, but everyone else will just be let go.
Alan says, we've known that a lot of these players will be upgraded all along if the club is to compete at the top level. Next summer, I believe a few top players come in.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we would have got more top players in if it wasn't for FFP.
Yeah. Julie says, a goalkeeper and a centre forward, much needed, and maybe another central midfield player as well. Kraft's done all right under House, says Ronald. Yeah, he has. That's the thing. He hasn't let it down, has he? Julie says, Calvin Phillips' rumour won't go away either. Even though Eddie Howe keeps saying there's nothing in it, but it's still not going away, is it? Watch the space. He's spit on not many goal behind Keane. Tony says second in the league to Harry Kane. Yes, he is, absolutely. Mason says, good evening, Mason. Hope you're well, mate. Press conference house said, story incorrect. Yeah, he's going to say that though, isn't he, Alan? He's not going to give nothing away, is he? So Eddie's going to play in the media. We can't be signing panic buys. We should just stick to the project, says Gary. Absolutely. Dummett will not want to go into the smoggy, says Ronald.
I don't think we will panic buy.
No.
Because we'll be looking at players anyway. So it'll be a case of who's available at the right price.
BSS sell Garang Kowal to the Saudis for 5 million. Man U are 0-0. Yep, at the moment they're not. They're going out the Champions League altogether now to Europe. Need a player for the right side. Missed out on Diaby, in my opinion, says Alan. Do you know what, Alan? That's a great question, because I'll tell you what it is. Look,
Diaby's
Alan,
not doing much for Villa, so have we missed out? He's on the bench at Villa at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I know we wanted him. But...
yeah, I know where Alan's coming from, because look, Miggy at the minute has got that position. We desperately need to upgrade, I'm afraid. Look,
yeah.
Look at the chances Miggy missed. Look at that chance he missed against Spurs. You should be hitting that. He's on his best foot, his left foot. He should be smacking that past Vicario. Instead, it's a tame shot that lands in Vicario's arms, and he probably thinks, "Oh, thank you very much for that. That's a gift. Christmas has come early, you know." So look, we do need to really. I mean, look, Miggy's. I like Miggy. Let's be honest. I like Miggy. I do. He's a workhorse. He gets all over the pitch. He does a lot of running for the team. He plays with a smile on his face, which is great to see. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty, we're not seeing the Miggy of last season, where he was banging goals in from outside the box, you know, taking shots on. And to be honest with you, we really do need to really upgrade on Miggy. And I think that needs to be done, and I think that will be done. Because you want wingers to chip in with a lot more goals this season as well. If you look at a lot of wingers at top class clubs, you know that chipping in with double figures every season. So
I think Miggy,
you can't look at Anthony. He's flying compared to Miggy.
Yeah, I was going to say I think Miggy's lack of goals has sort of been compensated by the number that Gordon scored. So, but we do need. But I think it's a case of in the summer we do need to upgrade. It's a case of who we can get and at what price and who we can move on. And question for you: if we got 25 million offer for 25 million for Jacob Murphy, would you take it?
Yes. Well, that's another thing. I mean, look, Jacob Murphy, Newcastle have actually named a price to Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace and said, if you want Murphy, you pay 20 to 25 million for him. Now, what we do know, or what we've heard or seen in the news anyway, is that we are being heavily linked, and apparently we are actually beating. We are ahead of Tottenham in the queue as well, and that's for the player from Juventus, and his name is Matthias Sule. Foxy's in the chat. He may know a bit more about Matthias Sule. You know, he's probably seen bits of him, or you know, he's currently playing in Italy at the moment. He plays for Juventus, but he's currently on loan at Frosinone. If that's how you pronounce them. I think that's how you pronounce it, Frosinone or Frosinone, something like that. Anyway, but he plays as a right winger, Matthias Sule. He's a 20-year-old Argentinian. So you look at that, and if we're going to pay about 25 million euros for him, you look at that and you think, right, okay, that's not bad, because you're selling Murphy for that money, but you're buying a youngster who's 8 years, he's junior, because Murphy's 28, remember. I mean, look, I'll just go through his stats this season. He's got no outstanding weaknesses. He plays attacking midfield or right wing. He started all 13 games. He's been in Team of the Week 3 times in Serie A. So he's playing for a team that's not a massive team, because I really haven't heard of them. He scored 6 goals as a winger already, and he's got 1 assist, obviously. But Look, he's 20 years of age, you know. He's got a contract till June 2024. So he's going to be out of contract in the summer. You might even get him cheaper, to be fair, in January. Who knows? Oh, well, that's with Frosinone, sorry. Like, he's with them for a year. So, yeah, I don't know how long he's with Juventus for, what contract he's got with Juventus. But even so, it's probably another couple of years, I reckon. So, yeah, probably about 25 million you're going to pay for him. But again, you know, if we got him and we sold Murphy, then I would say that's great business. We only paid £12 million for Murphy. So, look, I think that's decent money for Murphy. If we get 20 to 25 million quid, that's not bad going at all. You know, and look, Murphy's been great. I think he has been. But again, no disrespect. But is it like Sir Jacob Murphy going to win the Champions League for us? And it's horrible to say he's not, no. Alan says, yes, we'll have more money next summer for FFP, Adidas Champions League money. Did not have last summer, absolutely. And if we get further in the Champions League, it's better for us. So Bosley was a big miss, yeah. Real Madrid are losing to Union Berlin. Modric had a penalty saved. Wow. Miggy's not been great lately, no. David says, go to Saudi, get Aymeric Laporte and Golo Kante. Couldn't think of a striker from Saudi at the top of my head apart from Benzema or Mane. I don't know how many you beat alone, but I don't think you beat alone that many. But I would definitely get Laporte, definitely, without a shout. Yeah, he's a cracking centre-half. Foxy says, Minty will be great competition next season. Rumours for Argentinian Matthias Sule, who's literally Mickey, but with more end product. There we go. So he's got a bit more end product than what Miggy's got. I thought Foxy would come in with that because, yeah. Tony Ross says, I think we'll go to the Saudi market. I've got a feeling we are going to. I'll take Benzema on loan, absolutely. Hi, Tony Roly and all says, Coffee. Good evening, Coffee. Hope you're well. Frosinone sounds cold there. I don't know whereabouts it is, to be honest with you. Tony Ross says, I've seen clips. He looks good.
So I'm not so sure that we're going to go do any business in the Saudi league. And at the end of the day, the Saudis are trying to grow their league. So why are they going to get some of the better players from the European league just to sell them in January? Because they're not there to make money. I can't see us getting anyone from Saudi, to be honest.
Are you saying give Murphy the cold shoulder? We're not saying that. No, we're just saying that's what's being touted. Coffee says he'd be good if Rafinha went. I've heard links with Mickey for Saudi for 30 million, says Bia. I think Rafinha's better than Miggy. Miggy needs to go first. Murphy loves the tune. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Frosinone, decent weather, not far from Rome, says Foxy. Ah, right, okay then. Makes sense. Does Frosinone have a betting account? Oh, God's sake, Gary. Yeah, so before we get into the... before I get your predictions and that, one thing I do want to say, and I obviously I could not believe what I saw the other day on Twitter, and I just had to look at it. And I was gonna say something, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to because it's not worth it because you'll only get pushed out. But I think a few other fans had a right go at this guy as well. And there was a thing on like who to blame for the defeats, and so do you know what somebody put out there? One of our supposed Newcastle fans went on there and says, Ashworth needs sacking as soon as possible. This man is poison to Newcastle. Look what he's done to us. The signings are crap. He's brought in a player who can't play for 10 months because he's banned for betting breaches. And that's all down to Ashworth and he needs to go. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with our fan base? You know, you can't blame Ashworth for that. You know, nobody knew. Apart from Tonali himself. What do you think? Ashworth to be sacked? Do you think that's stupid?
No, I don't think it's stupid. I think it's idiotic.
Yeah.
And you look at the signings that we have made. since he's been on board. Tanani's going to turn out to be a good player for us. It's unfortunate that had the betting problems, and that punishment hurts us.
Yeah.
But he's going to be so motivated next season because of the way that we stood by him that he will hopefully play out his skin. So
Copenhagen are 1 up. So Man U will be panicking now, won't they? There's no way they're beating Bayern anyway.
that's actually a competitive game. Not being walked all over.
Foxy was asked about Paul Dummett's wages. According to FB Ref, they're stating that Paul Dummett's on £35,000 a week.
That's not too much.
That's not a lot of wages, is it, really?
It's one of the lower paid players, so that's good.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The sales is on 40 grand a week.
God, that's not much either.
No, it's not. Shall we see what Karius is on, shall we?
Yeah.
He can't be on much, surely.
Oh.
£10,000 a week Karius is on.
This is something you'd expect that sort of money.
Hey? Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? And if you want to know, Dubravka, he's on 40 grand a week.
Again, it's not an awful lot.
Anybody would with 2 feet an upgrade on Mickey, says David. Coffee says, I predict 5-2. I love Coffee's way he puts things on here because I think it's absolutely brilliant, right? So you've got, this one is brilliant, guys. So I predict 5-2 Newcastle. Gordon, zippy running goal. Wilson with a clinical goal. Mickey with a loopy, curvy goal top corner. Bruno with a half volley goal. Lascelles then with a bullet header. Liao and Giroud to score for Milan. Well, the only thing I will say, Coffee, is Liao won't score because he's not in the squad. He's injured.
He's definitely missing.
Well, he didn't play Saturday. He wasn't in their squad on Saturday. He's injured as far as I know.
I'm not sure that he misses the game. I heard that I forget which paper it was in. They said that they expect him to play, but we'll find out tomorrow. Hopefully, he won't be playing.
Alan says, I like Dummy. He's never let the club down. Defence, not interested in pushing forward. I used to deliver curries to his house. Well done, Alan. No, nice one, mate. Yeah, he's never let me down, I should imagine. Foxy says, Sula very similar to Miggy, coming inside from the right, great dribbling, but the difference to Miggy is he does use his right foot more, scores headers and takes penalties as well.
Well, he won't be taking penalties here.
Because he's got Isak and Wilson.
Yeah. Good luck trying to get the ball
controls. Man, you want Ashworth, especially when Ratcliffe comes in. Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
I want a Ferrari. Doesn't mean I'm going to get one.
Fucking in Austria, it's meant to be nice all year round. Okay, Ronald. Be careful what said, man. You are sniffing about him. Yeah, absolutely. That's a low wage. Keep him. I love Copenhagen, says Julie, but it's expensive. Absolutely. I think in Sweden it's like £7 a pint, isn't it? Gillespie is on free access to the vending machine. Liao's not injured, says Coffee. He's supposed to be back for this game, says Julie. There we go. So yeah, he's supposed to be. Yeah,
he missed the game on Saturday, but what I've heard is that he should be back for tomorrow. But maybe they rush him back too quickly, and he can't do the game.
Do you know what? I'm not frightened of Liao. Why should we worry about Liao? It's another player. You know, it's one player doesn't make a team. Yes, he's a good player, but um, we just have to wait and see what happens with that tomorrow, won't we? And we will find out. And as I say, it's bound to be an interesting game, that's for sure. I'm just going to pull up and see if I can see anything on Sule. Yeah, it doesn't say what it. Yeah, so he's originally he's from Argentina. He's 5'9.5" and so yeah. But yeah, like I see, he doesn't look a bad player. I mean, his tackles are like one. He does 1.81 tackles per game. Can make blocks, clearances, interceptions. So he's progressive carries per game. It is absolutely quite impressive. 3.8 per game. His pass completion is 78% per game. Shot creating actions is 5.49 per game. So, he looks an absolute baller. And these are the similar players who are to Matthias Sule. So this is a company that he keeps. So the players that he's sort of like to, Jude Bellingham, Eze, Isco, Solly March, Phil Foden, Jamal Musiala, Dominic Szoboszlai, Jose Perez, Anthony. I don't know how Anthony, because I don't really rate that guy, and Angelo Fulgini. So there you go. So he's in good company there. Jamal Musiala, that's another player I would like to see, but he'd be expensive. The guy who turned his back on England. And I don't blame him, because he said he would never get in the team when Southgate's manager, so that's why he chose Germany. Josselu's just scored for Real Madrid. I'd pay 10 grand a week on a BMW. Where does Sule play? Sule plays for a club called Frosinone, which is near Rome, but he does play for Juventus. But again, I think it's somebody Juventus are trying to move on. So again, why not? Let's go for him. Coffee says Trippier versus Liao, or he's him. Trevor says, was it a Mackham and United have in common? They're both shit and train out there, and you need to wipe your feet when you leave the ground. Great show, lads. Get to bed. See you soon. Yeah, take care, mate. Cheers, Tony, and thanks again for gifting those memberships as well, mate. My team has drawn that shit. Oh, God. Drawn 0-0 to Sunderland, are they? We could not get Hosselu. Could we not get Hosselu back, says Alan? He's been brilliant, hasn't he, since he left us? Julie says, goal 1. Berlin. Hosselu. Header from very close range to the top left corner, assisted by Rodrigo with a cross. Bring Hosselu home, says Coffee. Man U apparently are all over Musiala. Real Madrid is kind of the ultimate destination for a lot of players, says Alan. Absolutely, Alan. They are. Jude Bellingham is just one hell of a player. He's a freak, of a player, but he's fantastic. And he's English and he's ours. So, yes, it's great, isn't it? A lot of people are on back shift tonight by the looks of it, says yeah, absolutely. Right, Roly. Right, it's time for predictions, Roly. So, actually, before I do that, I'm just going to go back to the poll and see what the final results are before we close the poll off. So, which keeper should play? and 35% have voted for Dubravka, 65% have voted for Karius. So the majority are going for Karius. He's won over half the votes. So that puts an end to that. So thank you to everybody. So thank you to everybody who was voted in that poll tonight. Absolutely fantastic, and I really do thank you very much indeed. Right, I'm just going to go through who was actually gifted with memberships tonight, courtesy of Tony Ross, who gifted the 10 memberships. And again, that's a very big thank you to Tony Ross. So these are the following people who have been gifted the memberships. As I say, this is random from YouTube. I Like Coffee's got one. Mason's joined the club. Tanji's joined the club. Mark as well. Paul Gardner. Lawrence. Craig as well. He's been gifted one. Scott has as well. So hang on a minute till I get the rest. I've just lost them all now. Because I don't see them on my screen. I have to look on the YouTube chat to see where the memberships have been gifted. So Craig Graham's got one, Scott O'Brien, Godfather, and Exploring the Northeast as well. So all new members to the channel tonight. Remember, with these memberships, they only last for the month. But if you do want to keep your membership going, just click the join button after your membership ends, and you can continue that way as well. So there we go. Right, let's go into some comments first of all. Coffee says, thank you, Tony Ross. Lee says 2-1 win for us. We're going to get beat 3-0, says Gary. Sorry to say. I would say Bellingham, the best player in the world at 22. Wow, absolutely, Alan. I think he's brilliant. 2 to win, 3-1 goals. Goals, Gordon, Miggy, and Lascelles header. What about Jeff Hendricks as Bia? Oh God. Job isn't that great, says Ronald. I'm going 3-1 as well. Wilson hat trick. I forgot about Hendricks. Salad laughing. Is Gordon injured, says Newcastle stand. No, not as far as I know. Keith Downey said, don't worry about it. It's nothing to be concerned about. I think they just had a rest. And they need it probably. 2-1 Gordon and Share. Hendricks, says Alan. I even think we'll win. The referee for PSG BVB game will be make sure PSG win. Well, yeah, probably. Bayern score now as well, says Ronald. Wow, so Bayern have scored now. Okay. But it hasn't come through yet, so I wonder who scored for Bayern Munich then.
I've just seen it
right
here. Where is it? It's
Kane.
It's not Kane. I was trying to see the back of his shirt. Kane's got the assist.
Has he?
Yeah. Coman.
Oh, Kingsley Coman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Good
him. I rate him. Right. So, Roly, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. I'm hoping that I crack and lift them for one last hurrah, and we get a 1-0 win.
1-0 win. Coffee says the Reds go marching out of the Champions League. Meant to be Swedish flag. I'm going to say we'll win the game. I'm going to say 2-0. I think Isak will score. And I think Wilson will score as well. Get his Champions League goal. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. We've not got a bad record at home. We play well at home. Ronald says 4-1 to the tune. Yeah, again, why not? Gary says, with our dreadful situation, I'm getting worried about the Mackham game. Well, we're off for that game yet, so don't get too worried at the minute. Man U score.
We should have about 3 or 4 more players back by January.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Roly, we should have plenty of players back by then. We'll be fine for that game. I still see we'll stuff the Mackhams. Don't you worry about that. There's no way Eddie Howe wants to lose that game. So, yeah. Still Sunderland 0, Leeds 0 at the moment. The unwashed. And one of our ex-managers' old teams, Ipswich Town, for Sir Bobby Robson, they're currently winning away to Watford. 2-1. So Ipswich are sitting top of the championship as it stands at the moment.
That'd be good for you if they get promoted to be able to get to see the team play them.
Yeah, it's just on the road, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, be absolutely brilliant. I think they will come up. To be honest with you, they're flying this season, aren't they? So maybe they're getting a bit of inspiration from Sir Bobby up there. Because he done a lot for that club, didn't he? Did you see the video of Goldbridge singing carols on stage? I haven't. No, but I'll have to have a watch. I'm looking forward to the Women's FA Cup game against Man U. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be interesting.
Hosselu scored again. Billy says, sing this. Come on over to my place. Man U, we're having a party. There you go, Billy. There you go, mate. Done it. I love it, Billy. I love it. Brilliant, that. Brilliant. You need to get that copyrighted, Billy. Piggy's missus having to go at him now. Who's Piggy? Who's Piggy? Coffee says, I've posted in the WhatsApp group. Oh, what WhatsApp group is this? Somebody will have to let me know about this and get me in. I'll join in if you can get me in your WhatsApp group. Lee says, getting better show, Tony and Roly and everyone, the big thumbs up. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so I think 2-0 to us tomorrow. I really do. I honestly don't think Dubravka will be fit enough to start tomorrow. If he's got any sort of doubt with shoulder pain, do not play him. Please do not. We've got 2 players out with shoulder injuries. We do not need another one stuck out there. So please don't play him if he has got an injury. We could see this guy make his debut for us in the Champions League tomorrow. And you know what? In Carrier we trust. Absolutely. Foxy says, Union Berlin playing Hertha Berlin Stadium. Impressive. A shame how bad Hertha have gotten now in Bundesliga too. Gosh, yeah. Hertha Berlin used to be a cracking team, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, they used to be a great team, they did. Yeah. Flying Pig United, Man U channel, he's known for having epic meltdowns when Oh, yes, I think I know who you mean now. Yes, I think I know who you mean. I think he's a good keeper, says Trevor. Yeah. Yeah, so Julie or Coffee, if you can get me in that WhatsApp group, do message me on there or do DM me on Twitter or, and then let me know. And
if you want me to join as well, I do enjoy the WhatsApp chats.
Yeah. Twitter. So If you can get me in there, let me know, and I can give you my number to get me in there. Right, so before we do wrap up, guys and girls, it's been a great show tonight. We've had a lot of great debating tonight. But if you have enjoyed what you see, please do smash that like. It does help keep the channel towards the top of the search, and it does mean new viewers find the channel more easily. So please do smash that like if you haven't done so already. It only takes a couple of seconds. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, come and smash the subscribe. Come and be part of this great community we have here. And by hitting that bell notification, that will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows as well. So I'm 45 away now from hitting 1,100 subscribers. So thank you very much to everybody who has subscribed so far. It really is appreciated. And Trevor says Leeds are losing. Sunderland have scored after. Oh, the unwashed are winning. Oh, this is not good, Roly, is it?
No.
We're not going to hear the end of this now. That means the internet will be switched on in Sunderland tonight. Joe Bellingham as well. Had to be, hadn't it? Jesus Christ. Come on, Leeds, what you doing? Joe Bellingham header from very close range. Well, I'll still back Leeds to come back and win this game, or even get a draw, because you know that they're playing well under Daniel Farke, and that's the thing. Norwich got rid of Farke, and they must be regretting that now, because when they would have gone down, he would have brought them back up again. Ronald says Bellingham score for Sunderland. Yeah. Great show, Tony and Roly. Come on the mags. Cheers, David. Thank you very much. Hag will get sacked when the players crying around the floor behind the flood alert. Yeah. We must nick the younger Bellingham from the unwashed, says Julie. We should have nicked him in the first place. Yeah. He's doing a pre-match tomorrow. Eh?
Is he that good, Joe Bellingham?
Yes, he's not bad at all, Roly. To be fair, we were actually looking at him before he went the unwashed. So, yeah, he's not a bad player.
Sometimes you get players who've got brothers. One's a superstar and the other's just never is nowhere near as good.
Gary's asking, am I doing a pre-match tomorrow? The answer to that, Gary, is 100% yes, mate. So I will be doing a pre-match tomorrow. And then obviously if you go on, and then TTR will be doing a watch-along with Paul and Billy, no doubt, and possibly Stato will be popping in at half-time. I'll be doing a pre-match tomorrow. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so the pre-match will probably be around about 6:30, because Team News has leaked a little bit earlier, so it's normally out about 7:15 on a Champions League. So, yeah, so around about 6:30 will be the pre-match tomorrow. We'll DM you the vid, Tony. Thank you very much. Fantastic show, Tony, Roly and Chatters. Cheers, Matt. Thank you, mate. Yes. He's very good for the unwashed. He absolutely is, Julie. Man, getting beat, does this mean they're out of all European competitions? Yes, it does, Alan. They can't qualify for the Europa League either. I like Jacob Murphy, says Julie.
And I think they needed to win, and it'd be a draw with Copenhagen and Galatasaray.
Yeah. Like Jacob Murphy and his brother, but his brother's not as good. Yeah, I mean, his brother, I don't know what's happened to his brother, because his brother, Josh Murphy, actually used to look the better of the two brothers, in all honesty. When he played for Cardiff in the Premier League, he was absolutely fantastic, but he's just dropped off. He's just went off the ball. Now he's at Oxford United. So, yeah, strange, that one. Because I know a couple of Norwich fans, and even they used to say that Josh Murphy was the better of the two Murphys. They said we took the wrong Murphy on, but I'm not so sure now. Great show as always, says Julie. Thank you very much. Foxy says, I wouldn't be surprised seeing Job join Jude at Real Madrid. Probably ends up getting loaned out. Interesting. See you later, people, says Gary. Take care, you too, mate. Bias says, the only hope Ten Hag is getting back into Europe is going on a coach trip. I would vote him off. I remember one time Tony said Murphinho's brother was the better Murphy. Yeah, at one time, yeah. Maybe it's the coaching that makes the players better. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bye, Tony Rolly. No, goodbye to you. Coffee as well. And remember, the future's bright. The future is definitely black and white. And no matter what, we support you evermore, through thick and thin, Win, lose or draw, we are always there backing our team to the hilt. So anyway, it's goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from me.
And we're the lads.